All right. There we are. Going to do a few Nelson rating stories, mostly Superman, a little Star Trek news, and World War Z. Hadn't heard about that in a while, but we'll do that. And then I got to take off. Time is limited and whatnot, but I thought I would get something in here, and would eventually. What I gotta work on my review of weapons. I'll give you a hint. I liked it, so there you go. I'll do that. Um, I gotta review Strange New Worlds. Every now and then they try. So I'll do that, and I guess that'll be it. Other than what I'm doing here, so. Because going back to work tonight in spite of it all. A. Thompson, Doug, I really liked Alien Earth. I can't believe that is a TV show on cable. Yeah, I know. It's and they really did capture the aesthetics of Alien. It really looks like, especially the opening parts, where it's like, wow, they really look like they lived in the same world and all that sort of thing. There's a couple of things that could be troublesome, but so far so good. There are things here and there I'll just ignore and move on, provided the rest of it is okay. So, is it really on FX there? Well, I watch it on Hulu. So, but I think it is. I think it is on FX. It's basically like uh, an FX production. So I would expect it to be on FX. Hey, I have a giant spoiler about Weapons. It's a sequel. Well, all right, but is it connected to the guys that director's other film, Barbarian? I've never seen it. I need to check that out. But he did talk about that there may be interest in doing another one connected with Weapons. So I don't know. So anyway, there we go. So we'll move on to other things. And oh, look, it's you, oh man. So we'll deal with that. All right. Superman is releasing early on digital. And people were like, well, wait a minute, it's still in the theaters and everything, and you think, oh boy, that's a bad sign, huh? And it's nearing the end of its run to where however much more money is left out there to come to it to make it and all of that is quickly drying up, and digital might bring in a little more. So Matt McCloy of Cosmic Book News, basically the site I go to all the time. There's a few others, but I don't know. And but he weighs in on this and makes a point about how this, might be the right call. Now, of course, obviously they think it is, and situation and circumstances could dictate that. And that might be the case, which might not necessarily be, oh, this is fine. It's maybe not what they wanted it to be. But then James Gunn will come in and complicate it. So first, we'll deal with this article. While some fans have voiced frustration over Superman hitting digital just 35 days after release, there's a case to be made that Warner Brothers is making the right move. A lot of fans are going ballistic about the early release, which hits this Friday, August 15th. Hey, wait a minute. That's today, as I'm taping this. You have the Snyder cultists celebrating, and then there are those fans worried the early release signals the newly launched DCU is in trouble. However, let's take a more optimistic approach to the Superman early digital release, which actually might be the right call. So since he's posted it, he says there's an update is not because of the box office. Okay, I'll get to that in a bit. But if we compare Superman's current run to the Batman from 2022, the numbers tell the story. After a similar point in its release window, The Batman only managed to pull in another $20 million domestically before leaving theaters. With Superman now past its peak earning weeks, the likelihood of significant domestic gains is slim. We can also add that Superman dominated the domestic box office this summer, even outperforming Jurassic World Rebirth. Did it? I thought Jurassic World Rebirth did a little better. But I don't know. Maybe, I guess depending on what metrics you're going by. That said, the overseas markets have dried up for Gunn's Superman. The film's international total is far below the Batman's 400 plus million haul and isn't showing signs of a rebound. With little left to earn abroad, the focus shifts to other revenue streams, including digital sales, which are next in line, followed by physical releases and eventually ending up on HBO Max. We can also argue that releasing early gives Superman a head start before a crowded release slate hits. Paramount's Mission Impossible and Apple Disney's F1 movie are set to hit digital in the coming weeks. Dropping Superman on digital now ensures it can maximize home market sales and rentals before those heavy hitters arrive. The marketing campaign is also in full swing and includes an hour-long behind-the-scenes documentary. Universal recently tested a similar strategy with Jurassic World Rebirth, releasing it on digital just 35 days after theatrical. That film still pulled in around $7 million domestically a week after the digital launch, perhaps proof that theaters can still generate late-run revenue even after home release. Warner Brothers appears to be taking a page from that playbook. Superman and Lois are a little busy to comment right now, so we'll ask them later. With diminishing box office returns, stalled international numbers, and major competition on the horizon, moving Superman to digital now could capture demand while it's still hot, without sacrificing what's left of its theatrical run. So, there you go. Stands to reason. Makes sense. But wait. Here comes James Gunn explaining why it's hitting digital so soon. Yeah, that's right. So, with diminishing box office returns, stalled international numbers, and major competition on the horizon, Superman, I'm reading the wrong one, apologies, with Superman passing the $500 million mark worldwide. Many fans were surprised to see the film heading to digital only 35 days after its theatrical release. Well, Gunn says it's all Peacemaker's fault. Yeah. He says, well, it's very complicated. But the truth is, it is because of Peacemaker. I originally thought Peacemaker was going to be coming out next month. There was a lot of things that are beyond our control. So the Peacemaker is coming out now. And at the end of the day, I wanted everyone to be able to see Superman that wanted to, even those people who couldn't get to a theater before Peacemaker. And that's really the reason for it. Really. But you just said you're not in control. So what are you not in control of when it gets released, since your idea was for Peacemaker to come out next month, not this month? So Superman would be showing up on digital, later on, next month, or certainly at the end of this one. But you're not in control. So, but Peacemaker has to be released now. Right? You're not in control of when Peacemaker gets released. I don't know. I guess that's the deal. So according to Gunn, with Peacemaker season number 2 premiering on HBO Max August 21st, the early digital release means fans can catch up on Superman before the series drops. Gunn has previously described the new season as a direct sequel to Superman, which can be argued makes the early home release a way to ensure the largest possible audience is ready for the DCU's next chapter in Peacemaker season number 2. However, Superman's box office has stalled, presently short of $600 million, which has led many fans to think Yeah, okay, the digital release, blah, blah, blah. We went through that. And he runs through the numbers here, where Superman stands at 583, 8 million, blah, 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 all that, worldwide, domestic, all that sort of stuff. And all, really you can, hey, beat Fantastic Four, but yeah, and still short of the Batman and Man of Steel. So, all right, but the deal is here. Oh, well, Peacemaker's about to come out a little earlier than I expected, and I want everyone to have had a chance to see the film before they see the Peacemaker show. If you say so, but I mean, Peacemaker has a brief cameo in the movie, and I'm sure he's going to include some elements from it and all that in the storyline of the series. But it'll be interesting to see it play out. Do you really need to have seen the Superman movie to appreciate Peacemaker? Plus, you shouldn't have to. Hopefully it's not to that point, but there might be some little winks and nods here and there. Oh yeah, that's in the Superman movie or something like that. And maybe he just flat out reveals like Lex Luthor's in prison or something like that. And if you've seen the movie, sorry, you'll know why, so it's not a big spoiler. But then the idea that at the end of the Superman movies, Lex Luthor goes to jail. Well, no kidding. Yeah, I'm thinking the previous theory is probably more closer to what the thinking is for Superman. And so now you can download it, or pay to see it online in the comfort of your home at your leisure. That's right. Yeah. So what about James Gunn? Do you believe his stories? A lot of people never did from the get-go, and there's things this and that. Plus, things can change as you go. You think it's going to go a certain way, and then it doesn't, that kind of thing. But apparently, some people are claiming WB finds his antics annoying. So it's claimed, this is not exactly proven, but it's claimed that Warner Brothers is finding James Gunn's online behavior more and more annoying, and that it's hurting things more than helping things. This claim follows Gunn recently shooting down a rumor that Robin is in Matt Reeves' The Batman Part Number 2 script. What did he say? He said, "Guys, please stop believing this nonsense. I think 6 of us have read the script. No one knows anything about the Batman number 2. But then Jeff Snyder blasts Gunn." So here's what Mr. Snyder says. "I know who my source is. I know my source has been right about a whole bunch of stories that have been confirmed this week. Unfortunately, James Gunn has proven himself to be about as trustworthy as Lance Armstrong in my book. I don't believe a word out of his mouth. One of the things I was told unequivocally, Robin is in the script. I don't give a fuck what James Gunn says anymore. This guy is the most annoying studio head I've ever heard of or met or seen or anything. I don't think it's winning him any fans. I don't think it's winning him fans on the Warner Brothers lot, where I know people find him and his antics to be annoying." Oh, geez, that sounds bad. Well, certainly Mr. Snyder doesn't like him. I mean, that's the thing about rumors. Plus, they always go through a filter. Some things could be true. Some things could be absolutely false. A lot of times, they're somewhere in between. Maybe there was discussions for a Robin to be in Batman Part 2, and now he isn't. It could be that way. Or Dick Grayson is introduced in the movie, but he doesn't become Robin. That kind of thing. Snyder also jabbed Gunn over Superman's box office. "Bro, your movie is probably going to get to 600 million. Take that W, if we want to call it that, and shut up. Shut up. Go focus on reading scripts and making movies, TV shows, because it seems you get paid a lot of money to spend a lot of time on Blue Sky and Threads." Boy, it really got to him, I mean, look, we're going to know if he's in the movie or not. They're going to start shooting it. Hey, what if there's no Robin in it? Well, James Gunn demanded they take it out just to prove me wrong. I mean, come on. I don't know. So Snyder also promised to leak everything he hears. Guess what? More people I know are going to have read that fucking script, and I'm gonna fucking leak every goddamn fucking thing I hear about it because he's an asshole. Okay, Matt Reeves doesn't behave like this. Matt Reeves, I'm totally cool with, but you're threatening to spoil his entire movie. It's his movie, you understand. No beef with Matt Reeves at all. James Gunn, you want to fucking dance, bro? What can you do to me? You can't do fucking anything to me, whereas I can rip your fucking universe apart. So watch yourself, my friend. This undercuts his credibility. This is a ridiculous response to it. You know, you can say, this is what I'm hearing, and we'll see what happens in the movie. That's all there is to this. Why are you this upset over whether James Gunn says there's no Robin in there? That's that. You know, and your source says, no, there is. But again, I think it all comes down to no doubt that sort of thing gets discussed, you know, about could there be a Robin in the Batman movie? And it might have been something they thought about doing or discussed doing, and that gets filtered around. And that's the deal. Now, the claim that it's actually in the script when James Gunn saying only like 6 people have read it. So is this guy's source one of the 6? Or has some relationship to one of the 6? And they said, hey, they're putting Robin in the next Batman movie. And that kind of thing. Well, maybe so. But there's got to be more reason than just this for this guy to be that mad at James Gunn. Yeah. So whatever, you know, Snyder's $600 million prediction might not be far off. McGloin's was $630 million before the digital release announcement. So it's pretty close to it. So it might make $600 million. But that's, you know, the box office take. If it, I don't know, it makes a couple of $100 million digitally, that doesn't really count for the movie. But, you know, money's money. So fans online are overwhelmingly upset about the early draft, calling it too soon and saying it kills the theatrical run. Others see it as a bad sign for Gunn's newly launched DCU. Yes, it could be in trouble. I don't know. I think he cluttered the movie too much. I think it should have been streamlined a lot more than it was. I could understand going with newer, cheaper talent. I mean, I respect it. I wanted to see Cavill continue as Superman, but I understand the situation. These characters are okay. I don't know his take on Metamorpho. He looks like Metamorpho, but he didn't act like him at all. Mr. Terrific was cool. And of course, Nathan Fillion doing Guy Gardner. He was great. Doing a buddy type thing. Well, they're not buddies, but a partnership between those Terrific and Guy Gardner would make a funny movie. But anyway, from day one, Superman has split the fan base. Some loved it, others hated it. I wasn't overwhelmed liking it, but I did not hate it. So some people are in between, you know. Whether the film's soft box office affects the DCU's future remains to be seen. If it made the money they need and they don't panic, that is a lesson to learn from the DCEU. They panicked over Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman. When you look at the money it made, you know, especially in adjusted for inflation, they panicked. And okay, you didn't want to do what Snyder was doing. All right, he's gone. Okay, now what do you got? They were throwing things at the wall to see if it would stick. That's not a plan. And So there you go. So on the positive side, Warner Bros. May be viewing it as the launch pad for the new DCU, similar to how Iron Man kickstarted the MCU. Well, that's the way you look at it from the get-go. Yes, that's right. So don't give up yet, and we'll see what trails. Now, the follow-up are, Peacemaker and Lanterns. The next movie is Supergirl. I don't know. If the next movie could have been their Batman, you'd be on a whole different story. But Supergirl, well, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But most of this seems much ado about nothing. I mean, especially saying some people at Warner Brothers don't like him. That's always the case. He comes in, takes over a role that a lot of people thought they were better suited for, or their guy was better suited for, and it would have been to their advantage if their guy had gotten the gig, that kind of thing, and don't like him, or they don't like him, and that's the deal. So, but does that give credence to that everything he says is a falsehood? Not really, but yeah, it's possible. He could just be fibbing all over the place. But again, when it comes to something like this, about an actual character that's supposed to be in the movie, someone as significant as Robin in a Batman movie, we're gonna know. So anyway, there we go. That's the deal for DCU, their boss James Gunn, Superman, digital release, and James Gunn again. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. A. Thompson, they can show crawling torsos on TV. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's a different version for the FX version of it. Again, like I said, I watched it on Hulu. So, I don't know. A. Thompson, Barbarian is such a mind fuck. You will never expect how that movie turns out. Okay, cool. It doesn't. I told you Superman will be on D. He's not gay. He's not, D plus in a week or so. Well, on Disney? It's not, no. It's going to be on. Well, it's not going to be on HBO Max. It'll be available for like Amazon or something like that, where you can digitally, you pay for the digital download. Once they've satisfied with that run, then yeah, it'll be on HBO Max. But the way Warner Brothers operates, maybe it will end up on D plus because they'll probably license it out there. Netflix might get it. I don't know. Captain Infinity Time Travel Police offers a cup of tea. A. Thompson, Fan 4 was taken out of IMAX early, 3 days in IMAX. 3 days, that's it. They put F1 back in. Yeah, well, F1's a more popular movie. That theater wants to make money. And threw that Fantastic Four film in the trash. Yep. Hey, Thompson, Jurassic World is still in Dolby Screen X here. So there you go. So I'm not sure what the metric is saying Superman did better than I guess they mean obviously only domestically, but still, I don't know. I thought it did a lot better than Superman. But anyway, F1 outside of IMAX will suck. That movie must be seen in IMAX with the full effect. Speed. Hey, Thompson, I saw Superman opening weekend. There were 12 people in the theater with me. 4 of them were related to me. Hey, Thompson's lies. Superman sucked. It was a direct to D plus streaming at best. I really don't think it's going to go to Disney Plus. A. Thompson, the early thing in IMAX now is Demon Slayer, a cartoon. A. Thompson, Demon Slayer is scheduled to be in IMAX for 3 weeks. That is a long time to tie up IMAX. A. Thompson, it does not look like we will get Conjuring Exit 8 Spinal Tap 2. Next thing on the IMAX schedule is Tron. Well, Tron, that's this, big visual fest, so that ought to look great in IMAX, Movie like that, you make it for that. So Weapons was put in the Dolby Vision. Oh, Atmosphere Theater, yeah. Okay. All right, well, that's it for the deal. Oh, no, wait. I got to deal with Batman when talking about that whole rumor thing. So this kind of is a follow-up to that whole story, yeah. Batman number 2, Robin, rumor correct, claims insider. Batman's like, huh? The Batman Part 2 Robin rumor just got a boost from Grace Randolph. Well, okay, all right. Who says she's heard it's correct, even as James Gunn publicly denies it, and Jeff Snyder blasts the DC Studios boss over his response. Last week, Jeff Snyder claimed Robin is in the script for Matt Reeves' upcoming sequel. James Gunn responded, no, it's not. Now on Thursday, during our own coverage of the story, Grace Randolph said she's heard the rumor is accurate from Jeff Snyder, putting her at odds with Gunn's public statement. Yeah, I think that this goes back a ways. She, too, and James Gunn do not like each other. So, yeah. Anyway, I heard that rumor was correct. Well, so did I. From Jeff Snyder. So, I don't. So anyway, as we went over, the rumor originated with entertainment scooper Jeff Snyder, who wasn't happy about Gunn's dismissal of his info. Speaking, okay, he repeats the whole thing about his, his take on it. Oh, wait, I'm doing this separately. Damn it. Man, it doesn't matter. I'll put it all together. So, is Robin in the movie or not? Well, interestingly enough, a previous interview from Reeves saw the director hint at Robin for the sequel. I think he means to put as Reeves grew up watching the 1966 Batman and Robin show. So, here we have a little video on the Twitter, now known as X. Does it? Yeah, it does. All right. So, what does he have to say?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I have a lot of ideas about what I want to do. I'm not sure what the next story is, but I had, as I said, like what the whole Colin Penguin story was born of the fact that there were things that I saw in this moment, and I definitely want to take on this moment of how this is a power vacuum. But I'm not sure exactly where the point of entry is going to be. And I do look, when I was a kid, as I said, Adam West was my Batman and Burt Ward was my Robin. So obviously the tone of that, I didn't see any of the camp in that. I just thought it was, I don't know, I was just so drawn to those guys doing what they were doing and driving that car and having all those gadgets.
It's the best Batmobile.
I think, now the idea is obviously trying to think about whether or not there's something interesting to do as a filmmaker with that. And I think, look, the notion of, here's the thing. For me, whatever that story is going to be, it's going to be to take these characters, and specifically Batman's character, and put them in some kind of emotional jeopardy. So when you talk about what you're talking about, there may be a really interesting story to put, there have to be emotional stakes so that you get drawn into that character's story. I don't want that character to become a cipher. I don't want to be like, okay, so we saw it wasn't an origin tale, but you know what? That was kind of his origins. And now he's just perfect. Like, no, you need to test the character again and again and again. And for me, there might be something in that. I don't know. I'm going to, there's a deep dive that already happened at the beginning. And now I'm going to have to
deep dive again. The story we already know.
The chance to make another one. And so we shall see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what else? Oh, wait, I guess you got to go. Yeah. Jeez. So, there we go. He talks about, Robin and whatnot and how to fit him in there. There's elements in the movie he did. Batman is sympathetic with the kid whose father was murdered at the opening of the film because he's been there himself. Well, that's what happens to Dick Grayson before he becomes Robin, you know, and that's the deal, you know, that's the link and the sympathy that Batman has for him, and they strike up the partnership. So anyway, Matt McGloin's talking about this kid Javon Walton. He's 19, starred in Euphoria, and says he could be Robin. I don't know. All right, there he is. He's in shape and stuff. So I guess he could be Robin. Yeah. So there we go. That's it. We don't know if Robin's in it or not, but it gets released October 1st, 2027. So we'll know, won't we? Yeah. All right. Demon Slayer. It does not look like we'll be. Oh, Conjuring. You're not going to get Conjuring. That's too bad. A. Thompson. FX must have big money. You should watch their other show, The Bear. It's actually a great show. I really enjoy it and cannot believe it's on expanded cable in America. Well, I guess it is. I don't know. Well, FX has Disney money now. Not that Disney has as much money as they used to, you know, but they got some money. So we'll see how that turns out for Alien. Hopefully it does well. Again, I've been very disappointed in follow-ups to Alien. I still stand by. There are only 2 Alien movies, the first and the second. Maybe Alien Earth will do something cool. But now, meanwhile, Alien Romulus, I didn't care for it, but most people did. So it's going to get a follow-up too. And they're in different points of time. This one is a prequel show, and Alien Romulus took place after the events of Alien. So, but one thing about the TV show is that it does expand on the world that Alien dwells in and only briefly referred to. So here you get more of a picture of what's going on and, you know, how everything works and stuff like that. So it's making an attempt to do something other than just Alien, you know, because Alien already did that. You know, what's the next story to tell? You can't just do the same thing. Oh no, the monster, which, yeah, they're doing. Oh no, the monster, but there's there's other elements at play here, and it expands on the universe, as it were. A. Thompson. FX was like Channel 59 and showed old Star Trek episodes and Hercules. Yeah, you got to start somewhere, you know. Speaking of Star Trek, well, been wondering what the Paramount Skydance merger would do for Star Trek. Well, we might be getting a hint here. Star Trek, now a priority at Skydance's own Paramount. Hi, Kurt. With the Paramount merger now finalized, Skydance is making Star Trek great again. At least, let's hope so. Following years of subpar content, Dana Goldberg, now co-chair of Paramount and chair of Paramount Television, made it clear Star Trek is a priority across the company. So, because I was thinking maybe they would think, man, this piss poor production, it's really ruined the reputation of the brand. Maybe we should just put it to rest for a little while and maybe bring it back in 10 years or something like that, you know. But I guess maybe not. This statement came during the new leadership's first press event in Los Angeles, following the studio's high-profile acquisition and reorganization. Notably, as a result of the merger and this event, the newly formed company's stock has surged nearly 50%. Well, that's nice. Hey, what's wrong with this picture? Somebody's missing. Well, at least Spock's there, yeah. We get word via Deadline about Skydance's Star Trek plans. David Ellison's Skydance has been involved with the franchise since Star Trek Into Darkness, which pretty much destroyed that attempt at Star Trek because that was a god-awful movie, giving the company over a decade of financial and production ties to the brand. Now, with Ellison as CEO of the newly formed Paramount, a Skydance corporation, Deadline says Star Trek will be in-house and under direct control. Well, that's interesting. Because if that is indeed the case, that means Alex Kurtzman and his secret hideout production company are out. Yeah. When the contract expires next year, per the rumors. However, what is not clear is whether Skydance's comments at the press event pertain to Star Trek movies alone, or if they also include the streaming shows, which Kurtzman has been developing. Deadline adds that Paramount will no longer share profits on major franchises like Star Trek, Top Gun, and Transformers, choosing to fully fund them in-house and cut out outside partners. This not only gives Skydance full creative control, but it also means Paramount intends to keep all the potential financial gains or profits from its big franchises. Again, not clear if it includes the Star Trek streaming shows. Update. In the Hollywood Reporter's report on the press event regarding Star Trek, their report says Star Trek will be looked at holistically rather than siloed off between different parts of the company, which means that Paramount plans to treat the entire Star Trek franchise as one unified brand across film, television, streaming, and other media, rather than handling each part separately. Update number 2. A reporter for The Hollywood Reporter tweeted, yes, it's known that new Paramount will look to refurbish Star Trek. Well, that is good news because that's exactly what it needs. Yeah. So what's in development? According to the report, 2 Star Trek films are actively in the works. And there's been a rumor about one that was supposed to be this prequel. I'm so sick of prequels. And I don't know. It sounds like you could do it on the cheap, Maybe that's the selling point. But I don't know. As far as the Star Trek 4 for the Kelvin stuff with Chris Pine, I think that's been dead a while. But maybe they're going to try to get the band back together for something else, but don't know. So anyway, original character film, directed by Andor's Toby Haynes, written by Seth Grant-Smith, with Simon Kinberg and J.J. Abrams producing. So, yeah, still going with that. This version introduces new characters, a new crew, and narrative direction. Well, that's what a TV series should be. So, all right, good on them to try to make up their own take rather than constantly try to use well-established classic characters and all that. But that's the thing about what do you do about Star Trek? Scrap everything, start over. You have a new starship with a new crew on their mission, and they're beyond the previous eras of Star Trek, not the original series, not Next Generation, and move forward. And there you go. They got a mission. They got to explore something. There's some phenomena they got to investigate. And that's just the first episode. And then, you got a Star Trek show. That's how that works. Well, now there's this other film, Kirk and Spock Return. Another project reunites the classic ensemble with Abrams producing again and Steve Yockey on script duties. So I guess this would be the one where they try to reunite Chris Pine and stuff. I liked the cast. I did like that. The first movie I had fun with. That one. Into Darkness destroyed the whole thing. That was so god-awful. Despite the cast still being pretty good. Star Trek Beyond was, much weaker and, kind of stupid compared to the first one. But at least it wasn't Into Darkness. So it's got that going for it. If Star Trek Beyond had been their second movie, they'd probably be in much better shape, even though it just wasn't as good. But Oof. Oof. So anyway, Josh Greenstein and Dana Goldberg, now studio co-chairs, outlined a roadmap of 15 theatrical films per year with a near-term goal of 20. Star Trek sits alongside other top priorities like Top Gun 3 and A Quiet Place Part 3. They also confirmed a shift away from made-for-streaming movies like Section 31. Theatrical releases and major IP are the studio's focus, with the goal to strategically scale the amount of content for our streaming service as well. So maybe that means more Star Trek shows, as it's known that various producers are pitching Skydance new ideas. Well, they're still in love with shared universe type approaches for a franchise, so you can have a film series and a TV series, which technically they'd already done even way back in the 80s, because The Voyage Home came out at the time Next Generation was getting off the ground. And then you had Star Trek 5 and Star Trek 6, and Next Generation was rolling on television. So, yeah, you can do that. They don't necessarily have to be connected to one another, other than they're both Star Trek entities and that sort of thing, but they're separated by time and stuff like that. Yeah, that's doable. And some people say, I just like the shows, and they don't watch the movies, or I just like the movies and they don't watch the show. That can happen too. But either way, you've got a functioning brand, provided you have someone who can write it. But right now you don't. Under Kurtzman, Strange New World still has 2 seasons, kinda. An Academy, that's dead on arrival. That just looks terrible. It's supposed to have 2 seasons. Well, okay. I mean, unless each season is only like 4 episodes. So that would mean no new Star Trek shows under Skydance until 2027 at the earliest. Well, that's earlier than I would have thought, you know? But look, it's one of the, legendary brands that they do own in total. And they got to have some IP to sell. So they got to look for some serious talent. Someone new, not I mean, I guess they're stuck with J.J. Abrams for whatever reason. Okay. But you got to get some actual writers who understand science fiction and that sort of thing, at least have that concept in it. And maybe, just maybe, you got something. Of the franchises that have been destroyed, I still submit Star Trek is the easiest one to save, because you can just forget about all that other stuff. Star Wars, what they did to Skywalker and all that, that's tough. That is tough to come back from. Doctor Who, where they just completely wrecked his entire continuity and everything. Now, it's time-traveling characters, so yeah, you could fix it through something like that. But for Star Trek, you don't even have to do that. You can just start over and just never mention that secret hideout crap again. Yeah. Oh, let's see. A. Thompson says FX. Okay, I already read that one. A. Thompson, but this ties into Aliens versus Predator. Yutani got all their tech from Predators. This is what put them on the map. Well, no doubt they're crossing over the properties. They did that before, but it was really it's pretty stupid and silly. Now it looks like they're doing a more serious approach to it. There's teases and Easter eggs in the trailer, or images and stuff for the Predator Badlands movie upcoming. So yeah, they're definitely going to cross them over, and there'll be stuff like that. And the show, it's interesting where they're already introducing there's other parasitic creatures that Weyland Yutani is interested in, and they've collected them on that ship, not just the Xenomorph. So eventually, yeah, there'll probably be an Easter egg or something saying, oh, look, that's one of those things the Predators have. A. Thompson, and the nerds are saying Alien Earth can tie into the video games. Well, yeah, I guess so. A. Thompson, Alien Earth will probably tie into Predator Badlands. And yes, I'm pretty sure it will. They don't have to do much, but eventually they'll get to a full-on crossover. Probably for a movie, though. Hey, Thompson, they better not mess it up. The thing that made Utani a thing was the Predator tech they found in Antarctica, not from a space mission. Never forget. Yeah, but do you think they consider that canon? You know, I doubt it. You know, and Prometheus didn't mention any of that crap. You know, and that was Weyland himself. So, in there, so no, I know they did that. They went to Antarctica and found that old temple and all that stuff. And, you know, for what it was a cheesy movie, but it was better than the second one they did. But I don't think they consider that canon. It's just like the one where they went in the future and cloned Ripley and all that. Yeah, they don't consider that canon. I doubt it. Miss Utani is in Alien versus Predator. In the end, they present her with the Predators. Yeah, I know, but I'm betting they don't count that. So there you go. Because Prometheus is supposed to have taken place before all of this, and Weyland wanted to be immortal, and he thought he could get immortality out of it, and he discovers the engineers, and, well, you know what happened to him in there. And then the xenomorph is born by accident, you know. But, yeah, and there were no predators in that, so. A. Thompson, it better count. I'm pretty sure it won't. Doesn't look like it. So, but they're going to cross over anyway, so they'll just do their own narrative of it. All right. So there we go. Star Trek may, just may, have a chance. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you can hope. Hope springs a turtle. So in other Paramount news, World War Z comeback hinted by Skydance Paramount. Brad Pitt's like, huh? Really? Paramount's new owners at Skydance may be looking to bring back World War Z. During a recent press event, Skydance execs name-dropped the 2013 Brad Pitt zombie blockbuster while discussing future priorities alongside Star Trek and Transformers. Based on the Max Brooks 2006 novel, World War Z was released in 2013 and directed by Mark Forster. The film followed Brad Pitt as UN investigator Jerry Lane, tasked with stopping a global zombie pandemic. Despite production troubles and reshoots, and they were massive, the movie proved a success for Paramount, grossing over $540 million worldwide on a reported $190 million budget, which probably went over that because they had to reshoot half of the movie completely. I mean, it was an entirely different plot and stuff. Matthew Fox from Lost was in the movie, and he played this villainous creep in it. If you blink and you miss, he's still in the movie, but you blink and you miss him because they completely cut all that out about where it went and all that sort of stuff. So, but this is one of the rare examples where they did the right thing. They're reshooting it. I mean, I'm guessing because from what I heard from the descriptions of how the plot went in the original, it sounded awful. And I liked it. I liked World War Z. I like the book too. It's completely different. The approach to that. The only way to capture it like the book would have been to do like a faux documentary type film of World War Z. But anyway, you know, and it was a cool zombie movie. And, but you know, the reshoots to the point that you're pushing yourself to a level to where it's impossible. Even if the movie by regular standards does well, you can't make the money back because you spent too much fixing the stupid thing. And, but in the case of World War Z, that proved to work. That proved successful. I don't know if that, hey, you can do that. You know, no, not all the time. You know? So McClung says here, worth a mention is that Skydance actually was a production company behind the film. So there you go. There's a connection. Well, there were sequel plans, but they never happened. Following the box office win, Paramount announced plans for a sequel, with Brad Pitt set to return. Over the years, the project passed through several hands, most notably with David Fincher in talks to direct. But constant delays and budget issues kept it from moving forward. In 2019, Paramount officially shelved the film, citing production cost. So they just had to go there. The family's all upset. Oh, we can't do another movie? No. Now that Skydance has taken over Paramount, Ellison's mention of World War Z suggests it's back on the radar. The Hollywood Reporter reports that co-film chief Josh Greenstein listed it alongside Star Trek and Transformers as franchises to prioritize, with the studio aiming to release 15 films a year and eventually ramping up to 20. So one of those films would be a World War Z. See, when they say 15 films, they don't mean 15 World War Z films or Star Trek films or Transformers films. It means 5 World War Z films, 5 Star Trek films, and 5 Transformers every year. Ellison also signaled interest in horror. Yes. Now, World War Z is a horror film because a lot of the horror films, you can make a great horror film dirt cheap, depending on the subject. As a World War Z movie, yeah, not the way they did it, and that looked like a very expensive film, especially since they had to reshoot it over again. You know, at least the second half. So, yeah, but then again, you know, you can have very expensive scenes, but for the majority of it, the shoot is relatively cheap to do. Could be that. So anyway, he's got an interest in horror, a genre Paramount has found recent success in with A Quiet Place and Smile, making World War Z revival a natural fit. If this comeback happens, it could finally deliver the sequel fans have been waiting more than a decade to see. I wonder if they would just reboot it, or if they want it to be a sequel and get Brad Pitt back, and I suppose they could do that. But if they did do a reboot, then maybe, like I said, they could do it akin to a faux documentary thing. But that might put people off a bit because they're looking for another film like this one. The thing of it is, World War Z is kind of a one and done story. You know, I mean, the guy saves the day and everything's going to be great after that. So, you know, I was like, oh, Arliss, oh no, they mutated and now the vaccine doesn't work and all that. Maybe, but that's getting far afield from the story in and of itself. But it kind of did that anyway. So I don't know. Maybe just, I don't know if they can come up and craft a story that is interesting enough that has credibility to the nature of the story and where they would be and all this sort of thing. There you go. They might move on from Brad Pitt in the sense that wouldn't the war be over by now? Because this is a long time ago now the movie came out. So Brad's much older now, you know. So you're going to notice. So, oh well, does sound like they're very interested in it, and of course, they're going to want to have their properties that they can definitely sell, and you got to have something to sell. You can't just say, "Hey, we're Paramount, give us money." No, it don't work that way. So anyway, A. Thompson's Star Trek movie would be cool. Well, I got news for you. There's a ton of Star Trek movies. So, whether or not what they do with it, that's because it's been very disappointing of late. And new people need to come in and take a stab at it. They need to get out of that secret hideout thing. Keeping Abrams around, he's the reason Kurtzman got control of it and that kind of thing. It's, I don't know. And plus, Skydance was involved. Certainly with the movies, and Into Darkness is just garbage. So, but hope springs eternal, as it always does, because it's stubborn, you know. That's what hope hopes. Hope always hopes. You ever notice that? I did. It does. So anyway, Wes Cagle says, "Ha, Paramount." Yep, it's a pair. So there we go. That's your Nailsin ratings for this round of I don't know, me looking at it. Don't know if there's anything else. Nobody 2. That seems good. Peacemaker's on its way. I guess we could look at The Punisher. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Punisher van spotted on set with Spidey in pursuit. So that's his, what did he call his battle wagon? New set photos from Spider-Man Brand New Day reveal the return of the Punisher's van, complete with the signature skull logo painted on the hood. The design closely resembles the tactical vehicle used in the Netflix Punisher series, tying John Bernthal's MCU return directly to his previous portrayal of Frank's castle. The van appears heavily armored with black paint and reinforced plating, staying true to the vigilante street-level war on crime. Fans of the Netflix series will recognize it immediately as one of the Punisher's most iconic pieces of gear. All right, let's take a look. All right, there's his van. There's the skull. And, well, it's a van. It's got, is it supposed to be missiles or something? I don't know. So, okay, he's going to be driving that around in the Spider-Man movie. Won't that be nice? You know, he's got to get around some kind of way. Anyway, Spider-Man on the roof. In the same sequence, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is spotted on the roof of the Punisher's van in full costume, apparently riding along as Castle drives. The scene shows the two characters working together in hot pursuit of a military vehicle, believed to be part of the Department of Damage Control convoy teased in earlier leaks. The chase runs through Glasgow streets dressed as New York, with multiple stunt rigs, police vehicles, and pyrotechnics in play. It's unclear whether Punisher and Spider-Man are aligned for the entire sequence, or if this is a brief alliance of convenience. They'll probably be mad at each other at first, and then they'll put their differences aside and work together against a common enemy. So there's Spider-Man sitting on the hood. That's got to piss Punisher off. And there he is, just hanging out, guys. It's cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Where's Punisher? I don't know. So there you go. Spider-Man. Punisher's van. Yep. This appears to be part of the same large-scale action sequence that has been filming over several days, involving explosions, stunt cars, and even a tank. Earlier reports suggested the convoy may be carrying something or someone. Both Punisher and Spider-Man are after. The presence of the skull logo van adds another layer of continuity for Punisher fans while giving Brand New Day a visual callback to one of Marvel's grittiest on-screen heroes. We have Punisher's van chasing the military tank with Spider-Man on set. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay, so there he is. Yep. Sure. Oh, that's it? I thought there'd be a little more than that. Well, whatever. Um, yeah. So, yeah, that's it. Jeez, I would have thought it'd be more than that. Gee, I'm kind of let down. So anyway, he's going to look like the Punisher. He's got his little battle van and all that cool stuff. And they're letting him keep the skull logo because there was a big move to get rid of it because it's triggering and offensive and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's his brand. You want to make money off this guy? You got to give his fans what they want. They're learning little by little. Sometimes, they got to go broke before they learn. And I guess they kind of did. A. Thompson, in some of the Alien Earth previews I've seen, they use the same suit as they did in the Ripley clone Alien movie. They still got that thing around, huh? A. Thompson, that Alien Wrangler armor. A. Thompson, oh, Doug, wanted to ask. 2 scenes in Alien Earth featured a guy spraying something on a wall. What was that about? Spraying it on the wall. I remember him, he sprayed this like netting over the xenomorph so he could capture it. Beyond that, I don't know. Oh, but no, wait, that was at the facility, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I mean, they were doing all those experiments at Neverland Island. Yeah, just to add to the creepiness of the mad trillionaire. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I have to rewatch that. But, that's probably just adding to the nature of all their weird experiments and whatnot. Because it's pretty messed up over there, So anyway, yeah, and odds are that guy is a serious villain. Poor kids, Rex Dixon, thanks for showing up, Rex. I'm about to leave, but still, thanks for showing up. That debranding of the Punisher in the comics was truly dreadful. It was stupid. The whole point of it was stupid. They completely trashed the character. They killed him off. It was terrible. And then, of course, immediately realized, they got to bring him back and all that. Just crazy, just stupid. A. Thompson, no, it was on the Neverland Island. It was that guy. Weren't they in that greenhouse area? So he must have been working on. No, it was one of the hallways. I don't know. But perhaps it wasn't all that relevant, But then again, perhaps it was. But at the time, the Prodigy guy, he's just, he's dealing with the transhumanism stuff. And he doesn't know about at least doesn't appear to know about aliens and all that stuff. But he definitely wanted to get a hold of that Weyland-Yutani ship, corporate espionage and whatnot. And now he's going to find out about what they're into. They're into aliens. So we'll see. Anyway, 8,000 trillionaire with an island full of sick kids. You think he is a villain? LOL. Yes. Yes, he is. Did you see his attitude and everything? So there we go. That's the deal with Nailsin ratings. I'll skip that. I got stuff I got to do and talk to you guys again when I can. And I got to hopefully get some sleep because I got to work tonight all night long. Oh, goodness gracious. But that's life, And life doesn't care if you don't want to. All right. Talk to you again. Thanks for watching my babbling about all these films and shows and stuff. And we'll get together again soon.